Looking for a sustainable way to wrap your holiday gifts? This reusable two-sided wrapping paper is not only eco-friendly, but also beautifully designed to secure your items with a clever 4-point tie. Hi, I'm Christina, and I love to digitally pattern draft and create unique pieces of wearable art and some housewares. And this project brings that creativity into gift wrapping. You can purchase the pattern down below, and when you do, you will also learn how to make this wrapping paper in any size you desire. Let's get started and make this holiday season both stylish and sustainable with some fun holiday themed fabric. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to print off your pattern and make sure that the sizing square is correct. Then you're going to go ahead and start taping it all together. There is also a projector pattern if you choose to use that. After you get it all taped together, it's time to cut out each one of these patterns. You have to remember these patterns actually include a 1/4 inch of seam allowance that you can see here. So once I have my patterns cut out, it is time to lay out my fabric. Now I'm going to be using different fabrics for both sides of my wrapping paper. So I'm going to lay one fabric down on the bottom, and then I'm going to line up the second fabric on top, matching up the grain lines and smoothing all of the fabrics together. Then I'm going to lay out my patterns best how they fit around. Once I have them laid out, I'm going to go ahead and push pin them down so that they don't move while I am cutting them out. Then it's time to cut them all out. And because I'm cutting out both layers at once, it makes it go so much faster, and then I don't have to worry about lining everything up super perfectly later, because now that it's cut out, I'm actually going to pin everything in place before I even move it off the cutting area. So I'm just giving a pin so that my fabrics don't move from each other, and that's going to help me move straight into sewing faster. Once everything's cut out, I'm going to move over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to do a 1/4 inch stitch all the way around. When I'm hitting any corner, I'm going to back stitch, so it's giving each corner a little bit extra structure, a little bit extra reinforcement. We're going to continue all the way around this pattern until we get about 3 to 5 inches away from where we started. We want to make sure that we leave a big enough opening that we can easily turn the entire pattern piece right side out, but you don't want it so big that it just stretches and then you have more to deal with. Now we're going to clip our threads, pull our pins, and then we're going to clip our corners. So we're going to clip into that corner. You want to clip to and not through any of the thread. And on the points, you want to clip down so that there is no fabric left in those points, so that you can get them nice and pointy and have not extra bulk in those corners. Once they are all clipped, we're going to move over to the ironing board. We're going to iron back the 1/4 inch of seam allowance, at least on one side. This will help it flip better, and you'll be able to get a better press once it's actually flipped. If you want to make it super, super easy, I do recommend ironing both sides of seam allowances back onto the pattern. That way it'll be much easier to get it crisp, much easier to make it look super, super nice. But you have to do bare minimum of 1. Then it's time to flip it right side out through the opening you left, and then use a point turner to get all those points nice and crisp. You're going to kind of have to work with the point turner deep inside the pattern, but it will turn out lovely in the end. Once you have all those points nice and turned, it is time to give this pattern a really good press. Kind of wiggle the fabric back and forth if you only did the one turn back of the seam allowance, to make sure that there's no extra bits of that fabric hiding on the inside. You want to make sure you are ironing right at that seam allowance. There we go, looking good. And I love the double-sidedness of this fabric. Now it's back to the sewing machine to do a top stitch all the way around. You want to make sure that the top stitch is the same width away from the edge of the pattern all the way around. I like to use my foot as a guide as I do this. This will also close up that last remaining hole that you flipped the pattern out through. You have to be really careful on those points. They are a little bit tricky and you can get stuck at the very tip if you are not careful. So be extra careful around those very pointy points. There we go, back to the beginning. And the last thing that we need to do is actually sew it into a bag. There are two ways you can go about doing this. You can either do it by hand so that it is super clean on both sides, or you can go the fast route, which I chose to do, which is go by machine. So you want to fold it in half so that each one of those corners you're going to sew up. And I just chose to sew a very close, tiny edge, or tiny, probably about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on each of those edges. This will then create it so that it's a little more three-dimensional, more into a box form. And in my opinion, you can still use either side to the right side. However, if you don't like that look, you can always use it so that one side is the right side and one side is the wrong side. Once you have all 4 of those sewn up, you are officially ready to start using your reusable wrapping paper. So grab that gift, put it inside, and tie up your cute, new, amazing wrapping paper. And just like that, you've created a reusable wrapping paper that is both stylish and sustainable. With its 2-sided design and secure 4-point ties, your gifts will stand out and stay beautifully wrapped. Don't forget that this pattern is available for purchase down below, and it includes everything you need to customize the size to fit any gift. I would love to see your creations. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. That way you can see other fun ways to have Christmas projects, as well as if you want to learn how to digitally pattern for yourself. I look forward to seeing you in some of my other videos. Happy sewing!